Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week we're covering Buried Alive, 1990.
This is a toxin.
How does it work?
The recipient has a cardiac arrest. Quick and clean. It's almost tasteless. You can put it in his food. You can put it in a drink. Whatever.
I never knew murder could be so pure.
It is my birthday month.
Yay! Happy birthday month.
Woo! Celebrating all the days in the shortest month. How dare they? Okay, I got gypped. But alas, it is my birthday month, and I was able to choose two films. Not that I don't get to choose films any other month, but both of these films are films that I love from my childhood. And they're ones that this specific one, Buried Alive, is that movie that you're like, oh, what's that movie? We're like the person in this one, obviously, you literally say what's the name of the movie in a description.
Where the person gets buried alive?
Where they get buried alive and like, the wife is like evil and does, poisons him and he comes back for revenge. What's the name of that movie?
As Tubi would call a different movie, Buried Alive. We tried to watch this several times on Tubi a few years ago, and it had the cover art for this movie and the description, but then when you started it, it was a completely different movie, also called Buried Alive. So they took that off of there now, but it's just hilarious when you go to watch a movie, it's a completely different thing.
Who... at the time, obviously, this is 1990, so This was distributed by the USA Network.
Yeah, it said it first aired May 9th, 1990.
And I miss USA.
Yeah,
Loved
they were
watching
for
that.
many, many years. They were, they did all the stuff. Like I used to watch the Commander USA Up All Night.
Up All Night.
Up All Night with, what's his name? Gilbert Gottfried and... what was the girl?
I don't remember I just remember Gilbert Gottfried. I was very young when I would sneak out when everyone was asleep just so I can play these. And this is when I saw the craziest fucking films in Up All Night. And this was...
Yeah, USA had this, and they used to do Night Flight. Did you ever get to see that?
Yes, Night Flight, yes.
I used to love
remember that.
When they first started with Night Flight. A lot of it would just be clips of movies and different things. You would see they would show 3 or 4 minutes of Fantastic Planet, and then they would show Cheech and Chong. It was just random weird cult shit all night long, like clips from movies. I saw clips from Day of the Dead on there. It was how I first saw that. I was like, what the? Because they didn't always tell you what it was. It just showed a clip of it. Sometimes they told you, sometimes they didn't. With the Day of the Dead, they didn't tell me what it was. It just came in where there's a scene where he's got the zombie with the head's completely gone. It's just a brainstem. And I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? I missed that channel.
Unbeknownst to me, obviously, because how was I going to remember that? This film is directed by the legendary, I'm going to say legendary, Frank Darabont.
Yeah, this was his first movie.
And...
first feature length. He'd done some shorts, I think, but this is his first feature.
The story is by David Davies and Mark Patrick Carducci. And, I'm going to just throw all the things. And recognizable cast. You have the lovely Jennifer Jason Leigh as Joanna. The sexy, Tim Matheson as playing her husband Clint.
who has been in everything at this point, including Johnny Quest.
Hoyt Axton, who's Sam Sheriff, who we all know him from
Gremlins.
He's a dad. And William Atherton.
Well-known asshole. Played the asshole in Ghostbusters, the asshole in Die Hard. Name a movie, he's probably played the asshole reporter, investigator, cop, somebody. He was an asshole in some movie.
This is, his name is Cortland.
Yes.
Okay? Best fucking screen name ever. Because it's always like John, Mike.
Yeah.
Cortland is his name. And it suits him. Because I feel like Cortland is like an assholey kind of name.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of name that would be the professor that no one wants to take their class.
Cortland. So yeah, recognizable cast, and like I stated before, you have the typical story of, a husband and wife. They have to move out in the middle of nowhere. They're in Ohio, so no offense to Ohio. They're coming
people
from
in Ohio know what's wrong.
They're coming from the big city, New York City.
Oh yeah.
And look, people are only going to leave New York City if, obviously, if something terrible happens. Or they've lived in New York for X amount of years, like a lot, like 10 plus years. They're tired of it. They just want quiet, They don't want the rush, busy, they don't want that life. They want to settle down. But a woman in her, in these old movies, she could have been fucking 23 years old, but she looks like she's 31. No offense to Jennifer Jason Leigh. She looks fantastic in the film. I'm just stating. I don't really know her age in the film, so we're just going to assume she's in her early 30s. Yeah. Okay? A woman in her early 30s doesn't want to move to the fucking middle of nowhere with this dog that won't shut the fuck up. Look, I love animals, okay? I don't like when they get hurt, even though I know that, well, depending on when the film was made. Most of the films. This is fiction, it's not gonna, even then, it's a little much, depending on how, the last movie that we did. That was just too much. But this fucking dog, okay? He is man's best friend. He is all about Clint.
He's a typical dog that when the guy dies, he goes and sits at the grave and everything. He's in it.
He escapes. How did he find his grave? Well, we'll get to that. The wife, is bored. She's tired. She doesn't want to be there anymore. So of course she's fucking another dude. And they have come up with a fucking plan to kill the husband so then they could get, because he has a construction company, to get the money, and they're going to go off to LA to start a life where they're fucking doing plastic surgery.
Yeah, he's going to open a special clinic up there because that was so big in the late 80s, early 90s that, everybody wanted to open up a plastic surgery clinic.
So, and he was a doctor. So this is I've set the film now. Now, let's start with, so we go right into it. She doesn't want, at first, it's so blatant that she's having an affair. It's I'm going to go into the city,
for a few days and hang around with my girlfriends.
What is the city?
Ones you never see?
Yeah, what's the city in Ohio? Is it Cleveland? Where is she? Because they don't really state exactly where in Ohio they're at, but if she's going to go into the city to the imaginary girlfriends, and he's it's okay. He's a loving husband, okay? There's nothing wrong with this dude.
Are there big cities in Ohio?
He's amazing. I love him, and it's not because it's Tim Matheson, but, he's great, and he built a house for her. This is the part that kills me, okay? Where I told Shadow, I was look, you think if a man built a house for me, okay, and took care of me, I didn't have to work, I'm okay with being a housewife. I'm taking care of the home, and later on our possible children, our future children. I'm not going to be complaining and plotting ways to fucking murder you. Now, if you're a terrible husband, you don't let me go out, I'm literally stuck, chained to the kitchen, barefooted. Okay, then there's going to be a problem. But she's living the life, but yet she's I'm tired, I need to kill this guy. So at first, she doesn't want to do it, and I love that scene. He comes home from his fishing. He goes fishing with the sheriff. Also another thing. Why
complaining to the sheriff, I don't know. I think there's something wrong. She seems so sad and upset. Then she goes to the city and comes back super happy. Bro.
It's all that shopping.
Bro, can you not figure out what's going on here?
And it wasn't like, because Joanna, okay, she is a fucking pro. She went to the city, had sex with the fucking dude, okay? Came back. We're going to assume she took a shower off screen. And when he comes home, there she is waiting for him upstairs, like in a fucking robe, ready to get it on. And she's just pleasuring everybody at this point in, one day. She's a pro.
But here's my thing. She left Cortland's house, who, by the way, any man who has a fish tank at the top of his bed, never trust him. I'm just telling you that right now. I've known guys that have the fish tank at the top of the bed. They always care more about the fish than they do anyone else. So she comes back from Cortland. They've had sex, and he's wanted her to kill the husband with this, special poison he gives her. He takes from his puffer fish he has in the tank. She's like, no, I'm not going to do that or whatever. Comes home, has sex with the husband, and is like, you know what? I am going to kill him.
No, first of all, that's not how it happened. You skipped. The sex was fine. She was happy. She was cutting vegetables. Then he's like, oh, I'm just going to work in his like tool room or whatever. And he goes and he's using like a buzzsaw or some shit, power tools. That's what drove her crazy. The fucking sound of those power tools. Let me tell you. I totally get it, okay?
But he's building you this house with those power tools.
Excuse me, the house is already built at this time. We've already passed that. He's not doing an addition.
He's making improvements to it at all
times. He was not at fucking 8 o'clock at night. I mean, yes, we have no neighbors
one around there for fucking 40 miles.
It doesn't matter. Maybe this is not the time to be doing the power tools. And you know what the worst part is? You're like, everyone's probably like, they've never seen this movie. It's like, she could have gone to another room. Mind you, she was cooking dinner. She could have gone to another room. Literally, it was like the room was right there. It was like the kitchen and then this fucking room. I'm like, why is this room so close to the kitchen? Why can't it be like he built the house? Why did he purposely build the fucking tool room? He just wanted her to go fucking crazy.
It was in the basement, guy.
It was not in the basement. Was it in the basement? Oh, it was in the basement. The basement needed to be away. It was too close. He left the door open.
I mean, how much deeper do you need to dig that hole?
Deeper.
You only get to dig it.
He was a contractor. He could have made a basement for the basement.
A sub basement?
What
the hell do you think this is? The fun house?
Okay, yes, it is. No, you know what he could have done? Soundproof that room. That was fucking courtesy. Okay, he had no fucking courtesy.
He not the courtesy bear. Okay,
he could have soundproofed the room, and then his wife would have not fucking killed him. There you go. Boom. It's his fault.
Why did he have to soundproof the room? Okay, he built
so
the
then
house.
His stupid ass power tools don't fucking bother his woman. There is nowhere to go. Okay, there's not a Target nearby. Okay, this is not like there's nothing. There's nothing around. There's just this fucking barking dog, okay? This fucking sounder power tools. No one to even have a conversation with around. There's not even a Blockbuster, okay? What the fuck, man? There's nothing to do. So you think she's not going to lose her mind at some point? Well, those are the only two constant noises. And I'm just like her. Something that's repetitive.
Let me just throw this out there. Be ashamed if she just asked him, hey, babe, can you not do the power tools tonight? I feel like you could try that step before you murdered him.
No.
Nope, just straight to the murder?
No, you know why? Because she's going to have to anticipate the sound of the power tools another day. And knowing how, like, hardworking he was, it was going to be the next day. Okay? Well, she didn't want the sound of that anymore. She was done with it. So she's like, murder. Damn.
Get a job. Get a hobby.
I'm going to cut this fucking cucumber. And then I'm going to fucking put the poison in the wine. And of course, just like in fucking Princess Bride, you got the old switcheroo with the wine, and then she doesn't know. She doesn't want to drink the wine during dinner because she doesn't know, oh shit, did I poison that one? Or is the poison one his? So they have to go through all of that. And of course, it ends up, he dies. A horrible death. I mean, like, she's to this point, she has such a migraine. Okay, she's in her bathrobe. She was trying to relax. She just got banged twice in a day. How could a woman be mad? Okay, she tells him, "Die already, just die." Fucking savage.
Yeah, and of course, he's having like a seizure and going around doing all this, and you think, of course, he dies, but like the pufferfish, they use that venom for like voodoo rituals and stuff in all the movies. Whether it works in real life, we don't know. But they use it all and like, oh, we're going to paralyze you with it. So it makes him look like he's dead, but he's really not. He's just in a very deep coma.
And what the cojones, okay, the balls that this woman had to have to murder her husband, okay, who was best friends with the sheriff. Like, the sheriff, like, took this kid in when he was younger and his parents died, okay? Clint, he took Clint in, the sheriff, and raised him. So this is like fam, bro. You know it's gonna be major sus. Like, this man is in his 40s. He was like 42. He fucking just straight up died of a fucking heart attack, and he had no previous condition. That's kind of weird. And then not only that, wife is not crying. She's still chopping fucking cucumbers, I think, at this point. She's still in the fucking kitchen. She's not crying.
She needed to make a lot of cucumber salad, apparently.
The doctor from the city, okay, just happened to already be there. Before she even called the cops, she called the doctor. That's sus number 2.
Yeah, and there's Cortland, a.k.a. William Atherton, who you just see and you're like, this redheaded son of a bitch. But yeah. And then I like how the old country doctor's there, and he's like, well, I'm just an old country doctor. So if the city doctor says he's dead and it was a heart attack, I'm just going to sign off on that too. We don't need to do an autopsy or check anything. I'm sure it's all fine. Because it's not like this guy's a well-known murderer or anything.
Another indication, okay, that she was a murderess. Funeral, no autopsy, okay? No, don't want to find out what happened to the husband. Don't need to confirm that. It's okay. He just died of natural causes. Wink. And then, well, this is actually, there is no wake. Just straight to the fucking grave. Just
Straight in the ground.
Straight in the ground. Put him in there.
She just drove by and thrown him off the back of a truck into the hole if she could have got away with it. But she had to make a little bit of a pretense.
And this gets the mortician, or I was going to say the coroner, really mad. Because the funeral director, really mad, where he comes in and he's just like, ugh, they're not going to even do a wake. Just get that cheap rotting casket that we have back there and just fix it up. The fucking guy proceeds to, this casket is just, I mean, it is terrible looking.
It's like a zombie's already come out of it once.
That's exactly what it fucking looks like. It even has the old-timey satin folded, ruffled fucking lining, okay, inside. That's how you know the casket is like mad old, because they don't do that anymore. They used to make them real pretty inside for who knows why. You dead, you're not gonna see that. So yeah, that is happening. He fucking he sanded down. This is the thing. Oh,
There's holes in it and everything.
The funeral is in a couple of hours, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to be like this afternoon. They're going to do the funeral.
Yeah, like you said, it has holes. He
just fills it with wood putty, then sands it, and then varnishes it to the most beautiful high shine you've ever seen in your life.
I'm going to tell you right now, I call bullshit. Look, if he had a day, I'd give him one whole day where he worked on this casket. It would have looked just as amazing as it did when it was out there. There's no fucking way. You know how long it takes to you know how long it took? I had to sand a chair, okay?
Yeah.
It literally was just little skinny arms, and mind you, there was ornate detail in the legs. And I did this with like hand sanding with like little fucking papers and then like the machine, but you couldn't do too much of the machine because then you mess up like, you know, the ornate decoration. Let me tell you, that took a while, okay? It didn't take it is a whole casket. So anyways, you have to see this casket, guys, because the transformation is just like, it should have its own fucking show. Like,
yeah.
DY.
This guy should be the casket restorer. What do you call it? The casket doctor. He just comes in. He just comes into the funeral homes and shines up all the caskets and make them look great. They're like, that's great. Now we can charge an extra $5,000 for that.
And they did. They sold her. The casket should have been free. Because, you know, but that shit was a fucking blessing in disguise, because it is 1990, and let's just assume maybe it's 89 or 90 in the film. There's no old-timey, like, fucking bell, okay? They don't do that anymore. So, and I think they actually should. They should probably still maintain the whole bell thing. I wonder, you know, if that, can you, like, have that installed? Maybe if you had, like, that in your will. But anyways, so they didn't have the bells, which back in the day.
Yep. He had the bell going from the, had the little string you could pull to ring the bell and let them know that you were alive. Because, back in the day, sometimes they got in a hurry and maybe you slowed down and weren't moving for a little bit. And they just assumed you were dead.
You had bad gas and you were just in the same.
What was that movie, that Million Ways to Die in the West, where he's like, well, what'd you expect, Doc? He had a splinter. You couldn't save him. Yeah, so back in the day, yeah. You, like I said, you laid down and were still for too long. You were going in the fucking ground.
Oh, my God. I can't with you.
It was a much bigger deal to be buried alive back then because it's like, how this happened 3-4 times a year. Some poor bastard.
Yeah, there might be like a premature burial, which it's like, how many times, though, did that happen for them to be like, you know what, maybe
enough
we
that
should.
They put a bell in, apparently.
Well, no, that's like when you go to the damn storage place and you want to get a storage and you like reading like all the things you can't do in the storage and you're like, you can't have a barbecue, you can't live in here, you can't have a sleepover, and you're like, what? Someone did these things. That's why this shit is in here. That is wild. If that casket was one of those like brand new off the fucking conveyor belt fucking caskets, Tim Matheson would have not been able to fucking escape.
No.
Okay, he pulled a fucking before what's her face did it. Well, before a lot of people did it. Before I always think about Kill Bill. Before Uma Thurman gets out the fucking casket, Tim Matheson does, and it is raining. The dog, how did the dog? It's not like the cemetery was like fucking right there next door to the house. The dog and all the damn tombstones, like he knew, boom, this is where my fucking
he's just sitting there waiting for him to come out. And of course, because it's raining so hard, you get the nice soft wet ground that he can crawl his way up through.
Convenient.
In a perfectly round hole. I always love when they, in movies, when they dig a hole like that, it's always perfectly round or perfectly square. It's never rough on the edges. It's like, man, they took a lot of time and paid attention to detail when they were in a hurry. Yeah, so he crawls out of the hole.
And, this has to be done for several different reasons. One, the dramatics, right? The visuals. Two, what's going to happen when you have a fucking man that just crawled out of a hole and it's raining? He's going to leave muddy tracks.
Yeah.
Which will fucking frighten anyone. Yeah. Especially someone that just murdered somebody. That's the last thing they want to fucking see.
Muddy footprints coming into the kitchen to pay him a visit.
They don't want to see muddy footprints.
No.
I always wanted to know if this was like maybe a story that was made for like one of those like TV shows like Twilight Zone or like Tales from the Crypt, because it's 100% has that feel of those stories, just longer, obviously.
It might have been something that they pitched to that, and then they needed to expand it when it went to a movie, so they added some more stuff.
And I love, that's one of the things I love about it. I love that it does feel like I'm watching one of, like, I feel like the story's that good. Like, I'm very entertained. But is it one of those, like, nostalgia things where, like, I would show this film to someone else and just, like, this fucking movie's terrible?
It's hard to tell for me because I saw it back when it aired, too, and I remember I liked it a lot. They did a sequel to it several years later that's the same kind of, basically the same story all over again. It's just a couple getting, buried alive in their house again. Which I guess they were like, well, it worked the first time. But it's weird, those weird sequels that waited like 7 years to do it. Yeah,
that's a weird fucking sequel. Also, I guess they were like, it happened with The Evil Dead, so maybe we could just pull this off.
Yeah.
But I never even heard about this sequel until you told me about it the other day after we watched the film.
I vaguely remember watching it because I turned by and I thought it was the original because I saw Tim Matheson has a small like cameo in it. And I saw it and I was like, oh, this is on. Then it was something different. I'm like, oh, they made a sequel. It's kind of one of those name-only sequels, They could have called it something else and it would have been no one would have known the difference.
Yeah. How grateful are you when let's say you wake up in the casket, right? First thought, what the fuck, right? Like, you're horrified. So then you try to get out. Then you're like, oh shit, this shit is breaking kind of easily. Now he's a contractor, so he knows what it takes to fucking build stuff and like, materials. And he's like, this bitch not only fucking kill me, but put me in this cheap ass casket, right? So then you mad? Like, You're horrified.
You're mad, but you're also grateful. You're ready to get out.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a fucking, like, literally, he comes out, you know, he's reborn, so to speak, you know, out of the thing. So many emotions are running through his fucking body, you know, because this experience, like, I would be fucking pissed off, but then I was like, oh, okay, well, this kind of worked out in my favor, because if it was the other way, I would be totally dead. Arrives home, and this bitch is, of course, having sex with Cortland.
Yeah, so he comes in, sees it, and is like, oh, shit. And he just goes and kind of cleans up and hides out in the basement for a little while. I love the scene where he just, you know, his hands are all cut up from coming out of the coffin. He just fills the sink with peroxide and just dumps his hands down in. It's like, oh, God. That's one of those things you can feel more. I felt that scene more than I feel people getting hit with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
You know, because I've never been hit with a chainsaw.
But you know how it feels to
know how it feels when you've got a bad cut and you have to clean it out with peroxide or alcohol or something like that. You know how bad that hurts. And when you might have like a dozen cuts all over your hands as deep as they were, yeah, that had to suck.
Yeah, that sucks big time. And he has like the fucking towel in his mouth or whatever.
Yeah, so he doesn't scream and wake up the murdering people upstairs.
Now, I think they were like in the adjoining room because it was like the master bath. This is the thing that kills me. She was sleeping because the guy wasn't there. He left. Cortland left. It was just her. She never fucking heard anything. Like, I would have felt a presence. You ever like have your eyes closed and like you can feel when someone, like, you didn't hear shit. But
She's had sex like 9 times in 2 days. She's so relaxed, she doesn't hear anything.
I'm dead. And she also killed her husband, so she's there was a lot of, you know, fight or flight, endorphins, like all that.
She was just like, ooh, I can just relax now. He's dead. He surely ain't coming back.
Now I'm going to be a millionaire.
Yeah, I'm going to sell this business for $1.5 million and all the house and everything. I'm going to get super rich off this.
What I really enjoyed about the film is like how clever it was. Of course, obviously they set up, you know, he's a contractor. He knows, you know, obviously he built his house, so he knows it like the back of his hand. And then the biggest fucking foreshadowing clue is when they're before she leaves the first time and goes to like see Cortland. They get into an argument because she's like, I want to move back to the city, like it's boring here or whatever. And she says, this house is one big maze and I'm the rat.
Yeah.
And that shit comes back to haunt her because Tim Matheson, after everything he's been through, he's like, you know what, bitch, you are gonna become a fucking rat. I don't know how he did it. But yeah, he fucking built a maze in his own home.
Yeah.
While both of them were locked in the basement. He gets them both in the basement. They don't know what the fuck is going on. They don't know who's doing this.
I love the line that the Cortland guy has. He goes to put his head out through the basement window to try and get out, and the dog barks at him. He's like, oh, we've got Cujo outside, and we got Jason upstairs. What the hell is going on up here?
Oh, yeah. It's great. And just in all things, when there's a lot of money involved and there's two people that really, they both know that they're untrustworthy and that they're both pieces of shit because look what she's done to her husband. Look what he's done. Like, okay, fine. He's not as guilty as the wife, but he associated with her, you know.
But he's 100% coming to kill her and take all the money.
For sure.
That's why he asked for her to get it all in cash, because he plans to take it and just go. Because you hear him at his apartment, he's being evicted from his apartment. He just takes a bag of his shit and leaves.
Yeah, because if they put that shit in her bank, he's not married to her.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any legal right to her anything
so
in her
he's got a
bank.
new vial of a new syringe rather of the pufferfish venom, and he's coming for her. He's going to give it to her and kill her and then head out for parts unknown. And she figures this out pretty quick when she finds the syringe there. And he's like, oh shit, he was going to kill me too. Because she does the great scene where she's like, oh, you said the money didn't matter to you earlier and that you would burn it if I asked you to. So let's burn the money. And he's like, oh, wait.
Let's not get crazy now.
Let's not get crazy now. I mean, I said I would burn the money. That's enough, right? All I need to do is say it.
Wink.
Yeah. That's when they start turning on each other.
Yeah, once they turn on each other, forget about it. Because if you can't work as a team, your ass ain't getting out of anything.
Yeah, so they finally open the door and let him upstairs, and that's when things get real Saw heavy up there, because he has turned the place into a maze.
Not only is it a maze, walls are removed, they retract. I mean, it's fucking genius. It is just freaking magical.
It reminded me of that segment of the Tales from the Crypt movie from the 70s, where the blind people all build the maze for the guys that were treating them so bad at the facility where they were at.
Oh, the retirement home?
Yeah, it's all the blind people, and they build like the maze covered in razor blades, and turn the guy loose in it, and then turn the lights out and turn him loose in it. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah. You know, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, man, what an extraordinary actress. Like, I just love her. You know, she does have range, but for a while there, she was always like the crazy lady. But she plays it so fucking well. She plays it so well. Because she's a little unhinged. I mean, she's very unhinged. Obviously, you know, she's a murderess, and I think she looks good when she's doing it, though.
Yeah, she does play a good crazy person.
She does. Man, she's fantastic. Everyone does pretty good in the movie. I think besides the fact that the screenplay is pretty decent, you know, it's not hokey. And obviously you have, you know, Frank Darabont, you know, at the beginnings of his career, like you could see, you know, the magic.
Yeah.
You know.
And by the way, we forgot to mention it. The one guy who you mentioned, the Mark Carducci, he's the guy who wrote the story and screenplay for Pumpkinhead. So that guy has which had come out like the year before. I think it came out in 88 or 89. I think it might have been 89. Yeah, so you know that guy knows what he's doing. And I love the scene in it where he's like, "Oh, you don't like what was it? You don't like the Saw or whatever? Oh, I'm so sorry." And he's like talking to the painting, like the picture of her and him in the hallway, and he just cuts right down the middle of it with the chainsaw.
Oh yeah.
And you know, at that point, nobody's getting out of here alive. It's a great scene where he's just got them all trapped up there in the, you know, walking around in the house, and they get more and more freaked out, and then he eventually separates them. And I don't remember what it is that. Oh, he steps out and he's got the. He's got like the leather apron on and the welder's hat and everything, and the William Atherton is Cortland. He runs and trips and injects himself with the syringe.
Idiot.
Which I always love how the people in movies can somehow manage to fall on a syringe and push the plunger all the way in. Don't you put a safety cap on that thing?
No, bro.
No. So yeah, then he gets knocked out by the same process. So you know when he goes in the ground, it's going to be rough too.
Yeah, it was the reveal of Tim Matheson that made him be like, "Oh shit," and that's why he fucking ran, because he was like, "Oh, this isn't good.
This guy's not dead after all."
Yeah, it's just great, and he really gets Jennifer Jason Leigh because, you know, he has been changing the walls have been retracting and whatnot, and like blocking off certain areas and making her go. Just like when you look down on the rat maze, you know, you can move the walls, you know, up and like put them in different positions and like lead them where you want them to go.
And of course, he's leading her to a coffin.
Yeah, which is classic because she has to get on her hands and knees. So, rat 100% at this point, hands and knees, and then she just crawls right into her resting place. And
he just tosses in the boyfriend behind her. And this is the only part that annoyed both of us a lot in this movie.
Oh my! I fucking pissed. The film, the ending of the film has a flaw for me. Besides this,
because why would you go to all this trouble of murdering them? You see this whole big suitcase full of money that's untraceable. You've got all this cash, and you just dump all the money in with them and bury them alive. Now, I get the whole like justice of like, you wanted the money, you got it, but I buried you alive with it. I get it. Throw a couple $100 on top of them and leave it there like that. Here's your money. You wanted it, you got it. But it was $1.5 million in cash. That'll start you a pretty good life somewhere. And now he's been declared dead.
So that's what I was getting to. He's declared dead, so he can't even come back because how's he gonna prove that the wife killed him? But wait, where's the wife? But wait, why did she do it? How did she do it? He doesn't know. He doesn't know anything about the pufferfish thing. He doesn't know that he was poisoned. He has no fucking details. Okay? And obviously he murdered his wife, so he guilty.
He comes back and it's going to be real suspicious.
Felony.
Yeah, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So now he's going to go like hide out he's going to have to live like homeless off the grid somewhere. He's going to be Roddy Piper and They Live now, just bouncing around.
He has no social security number. He has no license, okay?
Yeah, he can't do anything.
He has no money, okay? He's driving around a fucking flatbed truck. Who's gonna pay for this gas? Mind you, yes, it's 1990, so the gas isn't fucking $4 a gallon. But if you have no money, though, how are you gonna pay for that dollar fucking gas?
$1 a gallon, still $1 a gallon when, minimum wage was like $3.25 then. So he's going to have to go get a minimum wage job somewhere and start over at like 35.
Maybe we're still in that range of years where like in 1990 you could disappear off like that and just like pick up a job at like some like desolate area like at a gas station and not need like you have your paper license, you know what I mean, that you have printed out,
Yeah, but it would have been hard because even back then you had to have a birth certificate to get a license, a birth certificate and a social security card to get a license. So he's going to have to get forgeries. It's going to be a rough life for this guy to start over.
He's probably just going to have to, I don't know.
Like I said, he's going to be Roddy Piper.
He's going to have to do one of those, like, jobs that people don't want to do, that they don't question you, though. They're just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, he's going to be like a day laborer, just standing on the corner. They pick you up, take you to the house, and do work.
Roddy Piper.
Yep.
Exactly. That's exactly what he's going to be.
He's going to become Roddy Piper, just running around, and he's going to run into the They Live people, and it's going to be rough for him.
Don't fucking wear the sunglasses, Matheson.
Yeah,
you don't want to be bad times. It's going to be bad times.
But yeah, that's the only part of the movie that really annoyed me, is like, keep the money. Like I said, throw a couple $100 in on top of them to just be...
But part of me, though, I feel like he did keep the money. He kept some of the money. Because we don't really see... Now, mind you, we see that... And this is the other thing that also is like, okay, the continuity. There has to be a missing thing. We saw... Wasn't there like a... Did we watch the director's cut or just like regular?
It's just a regular movie.
So the scene where they show Jennifer Jason Leigh again, and she's like screaming at the top of her lungs, right, with the guy Cortland on top of her. There's money there, but we never see him put the money in.
Yeah.
Because when she gets in, there's no money. When he drops Cortland in, he just drops him in, and there's no money. The money apparently appears after the fact, off screen.
Well, he had like a little slot where he was talking to her through the hole in the top of the coffin he was talking to her. So he could have pushed it in there. But that'd be a lot to push $1 million in there. So maybe he did just push a little bit of money in there so she would see it and be like, yeah, I'm going to the grave with this money. That's a lot, maybe. Because maybe he pushed, like I said, he did what I said and threw a couple $100 in there just to be pissy and was like, here you go.
Yeah, who knows? But hopefully he didn't, because it's not believable that he went off on his truck with his dog. Like, who's feeding his dog? Like, hello? What is he gonna... Is he gonna live on Alpo? Like, what is it, Alpo?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he's gonna eat for dinner.
Could be.
Clint and the dog, they're gonna share a can, because this is what he's doing. He has the hobo stick with the...
Yeah, he's going down the road just playing the thing for the Incredible Hulk. Is playing Lonely Man. He's got a dog walking with him.
Best dog ever.
Yep. Okay.
Best dog in a movie goes to whatever the fuck the name of this dog is. I don't even remember the name.
Yeah, I don't know if they even said it or not.
His name is Dog. I don't. The dog did have a name. I just don't remember what the name is, because she was screaming his fucking name when his stupid dog kept barking and barking, which, to be fair,
is annoying.
It was annoying, but it was raining. He was outside in this big cage. Like, it's cold and it's raining. Let the dog in. That's so cruel.
And then she goes out there with a shotgun to shoot him at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Even the murdering doctor is like, this seems over the line to me.
Yeah, he's crazy.
She fires and, of course, manages to, with a pellet shotgun, blow a master lock off of the cage, which I love how they always show that. That's not a thing that happens. That would just went through the fence and killed the dog. Oh, my gosh. But, movie magic.
Yeah, well, it didn't bother Cortland too much, because they went back inside and they shagged like rabbits. So
yeah, so
it's
he was only mildly annoyed by it.
He's like, dog violence gets me hot. Sorry. I always think about student bodies.
Oh, yeah.
Parades get me hot. I just love that film. But yeah, that's my first pick for the month. Buried Alive. I don't even know. We watched the
the Kino Lorber Blu-ray. I don't think it's on any streaming services anywhere right now.
It should be. It needs to be. I give it a 2.5 syringes. Because of the syringe with the pufferfish poison.
I got it, but only 2.5?
I know, but you see, it's not that I don't even want to give it a rating. Let me take back that rating. Oh, were there any jump scares? I think there's one.
Yeah, there might be one. I'm not sure. No, it doesn't.
Yes,
really...
when he appears at the window, and scares the fuck out of her.
Yeah, that's about the only one I can think of. Yeah, it's not on any streaming services.
I don't want to give, because 2.5 knives seems like it's not a good movie, but I feel like to give it 3 knives is like, you know, my rating for the films are just not good. Because for me, 3 knives, there's a lot of things that go into the 3 knives. Do I love the film? Is it the best horror film I've ever seen? Or like on the top, 100 films? There's, or is it just nostalgia? There's a lot. So I want to be kind of fair. So I'm going to give it 2 knives and 98 stabs.
Okay. I was just
Close
gonna go
to 3.
I was just going to give it a 3 knives myself.
I know, but then you made it so complicated for me. You have to make me explain my knifage.
Okay.
My knifage. Fine, 3 knives. Fine, whatever. It was a great film. 3 knives. For a made-for-TV movie, it's definitely 3 knives.
Yes.
There you go. We'll say, and
You've
because I love it.
Now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us in another episode of Jump Scare, the horror podcast. Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.